marker the audio.
Yep.
Yeah, because that'll be the loudest thing on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Welcome to Watch and Complain with Rob and Bill and Tom.
We should
Dick and Harry.
Should we? Two things I thought of for this show. Number one, should we have like fake advertisements of like, this is brought to you by Arizona Iced Tea, and then just see what they say.
They just get
Would
free,
they even notice?
free
This
advertisement.
is brought to you by. I'm gonna end up looking like what's his name?
If we were
Oh,
popular,
Bang Energy.
Sylvester Stallone, because it's got super creatine in it.
this might become a thing one day. But if we were
It is a
popular,
fucking thing.
if we were popular enough, we would have to. That we would get cease and desist.
Because
we're vulgar.
Because I always wonder about that. Of
right.
like, do
But
we
you can be
pay?
you
do
can
they
be
pay
vulgar,
us?
but I think you just can't cast it in a bad light. That's Apple's motto, right?
But-
Depends on the product.
But yeah, cease and desist. But it's like a free country, no?
But I think it's. See, I always thought it has to be
But if
in
you say
regards
it's a
to the
promotion,
product.
Yeah.
you're screwed.
Like if you say this product fucking sucks, that can be branded as libel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get in trouble. But if you're like, oh man,
why
and
nobody
I guess also though, like if you're like, man, you know what's great? Fucking white supremacy. Also, this Bang shit is great. Then they don't want to be associated with it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that makes
Yep.
sense.
That makes
So,
sense.
but like, isn't Bang energy drink like terrible from like Instagram and stuff like that?
It's
Isn't that
great.
Isn't that why? Like, is it
It
actually?
is
good?
one of those things like what's that creatine going around that everyone's talking about? It's
Creatine. I don't know.
oh god.
How often do you see me on social
Why
media?
don't
Well,
I
where are
know
those
this.
bath salts everybody's trying, Phil?
Oh, I've tried it. That's how I got this big. Don't do that at home.
You ate bath salts.
Eternals.
Are they? Did they anything to go in the bath though? Like, where does the bath come in? Is it because they're powerful and they like?
I don't
scrub
think I've
you?
ever used
probably
bath salts.
just
I've used a
look
bath
like it.
bomb.
I don't.
But I've never used bath salts.
You know, speaking
My
of
God.
like bombs, I was thinking. Of
Speaking of
I
bombs,
was thinking the
that
Adele
does come around
the
to
Adele,
Eternals.
The Adele concert last night with all these Hollywood elites. I'm like, this looks like the third act of an action movie of like somebody has to stop the bomb from going off at this Hollywood elite party or something. In the background, somebody's gonna make a time travel movie 3 years from now where somebody stops some horrible event from happening.
Maybe that was the
there.
point.
And my brother thinks about that all the time.
So, Phil and I, not together,
Red
went and
Notice.
saw the Eternals. Will hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Phil,
but we're gonna review it.
what was... So we'll talk about your review of the Eternals,
I love that you're taking
my
the
review of the
reins.
Eternals.
It's great.
Can I ask you guys my question?
You won't take that. How
As
can you be
soon
the
as
biggest
Rob
one of
is
us?
done.
How can you be the biggest one of us and you won't push the rest of us around?
Because I wanna just nail.
See, that's
these
the
out of
problem is
way.
big guys
I'm
like
sensitive.
you are always nice guys.
Wait,
And then you need
wait
little
till I
fucking
lose weight. I'm
skinny
gonna be like, you
mouthpieces
Yeah,
like
turn
fucking
into an
bastards,
asshole.
get the fuck out of Rob's house.
You made fun of me.
How
You
come
made fun of me
fat
for being
people are
fat.
always so funny
right.
and then they lose weight and they're not?
We'll see.
That is something they could have tackled. In
And then you gotta be like, well, you gotta be funny in the first place, Phil.
He'll start wearing a fat
Let me
suit
just
when you're
ask
coming into it.
one question though before you guys get into it.
Okay.
I presume that the movie sucked. Don't tell me.
Is that the question?
The question is what worked about it? Like what
that's a
was
good
good about the Eternals or Eternals? It's just Eternals. Marvel's
Eternals, yeah. What's
was
good
good
about
about
it?
it?
All right,
Phil?
Phil, you go first.
The action scenes.
Okay.
No, because she chose chose to do more practical stuff when it came to not like the magical powers, but on set there's like hardly any green screen.
Okay, so on
From what I've
location
heard.
shooting. What do you mean from what you? Oh, because you couldn't tell. Because I watched Shang-Chi.
No,
and,
I read things.
and the
so
special effects, like
I
it's
came
the same
somewhat
with
prepared.
Infinity War. Thanos' face, amazing. Mark Ruffalo in the Iron Suit.
oh, that was awful.
Horrifying.
Horrible.
Is it like that? Is
Daredevil.
it consistent? Yeah. Is it
No, you know what?
consistent?
Falling-
It's not that bad. There were some parts where the CG really stuck
I thought
out.
it was great.
Yeah.
the action and the CG and stuff.
The action and yeah, altogether, I had no problem with that. You know what I had a problem with?
he
Wait, wait, wait,
asked
wait,
what,
what
he
worked?
asked what worked.
Oh, sorry.
So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
you, it was the action scenes.
Anything else?
You have anything else that worked about
This
the
movie
Eternals?
has made $120 million domestically. You're telling me only
It's a
one
Marvel
thing.
movie. You could shit in a bucket
I
right,
don't
and throw it on the
necessarily
screen.
believe in that. A Marvel movie can bomb. It's just this is them using
I-
up all of
This
their
one
goodwill.
should have
I was gonna say,
This
is
is
their
them
first-
using up all of their goodwill. They won't get another
The-
one like this.
What comes out is the action scenes. That's the best part of it.
Okay, what
For-
do you think?
What's
For
the
me-
best part of it, Rob?
The best part of it is, honestly, is Camille Nanjiani. He is the best part of the movie. Every
I
time
disagree.
he's on
Quingo?
screen,
What's his name?
He's Kingu. I think.
I
Kingu?
get people love this actor. I thought it was annoying.
The only reason that I choose Kumail Nanjiani as the best part of this movie is every other part of it is so low that even him being at mid-level
Is good enough.
is good enough.
Everything is so bland.
When he shows up, I was like, oh shit! It is literally like somebody taking a fucking
jolt.
like a jolt of electricity
I will give you
to
that.
the movie as soon as he.
I
shows
love
up.
those moments in movies though when you're kind of like, and then it like for a second it comes alive.
Yep. That happens. I'm gonna say once or twice in this movie, and then I'm like, oh shit! It's about to get. Oh.
Do you have any more pre-questions?
Yes. Like counter question? What didn't
Jesus.
work?
How long is our podcast?
Like,
What's
what
the
didn't-
most obvious thing that didn't work?
Okay,
The biggest thing.
Okay, unrelated. That's not unrelated. I had a horrible time because I went and saw it again, not in IMAX.
You went and
in
saw
one
it
of the
again?
re-
You went and saw it twice?
No, sorry. Because before the previous movie I went to in the theater, I saw not in IMAX because I hate the rocker seats, right?
Yeah.
And I thought
That's bullshit that they don't
screen-
have the fucking nice seats in the IMAX theater.
Because so they can fit more in. But I noticed that the last time I went, I think I went.
that's exactly the reason. You're right. It's the screen is shit. Like not the screen itself, but the clarity.
Don't you think that could just be the projector bulb that's like too dim?
No,
that
because
they
this is twice now, and I think it's just in comparison, like because an IMAX is much better in both. So
I
the
don't
other,
mind.
the
Mine
other
look-
part was
I don't mind
sound.
look fine.
The sound was bad at this landmark. Sound was even worse at the landmark I went to in Ottawa. It echoed,
Oh shit.
and I was so
No,
annoyed.
mine look okay.
I would.
But you're saying what didn't work for you was
that
the
was
theater
that
experience?
was one of the big things, and unfortunately, I'm
It's a
never
problem. Theaters
going
don't have an answer
to Landmark's normal theaters ever again. I'm sorry. I might just have to go to Ghostbusters at Cineplex.
I haven't gone to Cineplex in
Ghostbusters.
like I
in
threatened to go.
AVX.
What didn't work for me about this movie? This is, of all the Marvel movies, the most clearly obvious that they have absolutely no idea where this story goes because it fucking meanders. It goes nowhere.
Very fast in all directions. Or probably very slowly.
I'd say, yeah, kind of very slowly, but you can absolutely tell by both the stingers that they have no fucking idea what they're
they're
doing.
just throwing it up.
just
in the air.
throwing out
They're just
whatever
separate things
sticks.
that don't matter.
Yep.
I'm sure they will later, but
But
the
they're
thing-
throwing shit out to see what sticks. They're like, okay, we'll go with
Harry
Icarus.
Styles.
Oh, Harry's. Oh,
I love
God.
how you make the point that it meanders, but it has to begin, and the beginning sucks. There's no
The best part-
build up.
They
So,
usually
what's
get the
great, too,
beginning scenes good.
is
Origins
you're watching.
sucky.
Think about you're watching a Marvel movie, and for me, I can only speak from how I feel. When it comes to a Marvel movie, I love the idea of a fucking plucky. All right, I'm a genius like Iron Man, or I can do it on my own like fucking Captain America. And you're like, I'm gonna fucking pull myself up, and I'm going to be the hero that the world wants me to be. This one starts with a fucking a scroll, and we're not talking like a Star Wars scroll. We're talking like a boring fucking scroll out of like The Last Starfighter or one of those old 80s movies that's like, in the beginning, the Eternals were created by Theramit. I'm like,
How
what
long
the
does this go
fuck
on
is this?
for?
Th-
Like,
no,
is this
this-
goes on longer than Star Wars?
The point I think you're trying to make
About the same amount of time.
is that it's like instead of an origin story, you're getting they're here,
Yep.
and you get like, oh, what happened in the past,
But
leading
it's
up,
also-
but it's nothing.
Of all the Eternals were created by the what the fuck are they called? The creationists?
Celestial.
Celestials.
The
The
creators.
Eternals created by the Celestials, and the main Celestial named Creatine created Ajak, and Ajak is the leader of the Eternal. And
So
you're
it
like,
just tells you all this without like
Yep.
just showing
At
the
start,
origin.
yeah.
because it's literally it's like, oh,
They-
Ajak.
they
I'll
went-
remember fucking Ajax.
They went away from the original comic for sure.
I was expecting something like Tree of Life, like hoping for something like they were aiming for
Nope.
Tree of Life, where they actually do the.
This
beginning
should
of
have
time.
been a Dune-like feeling the whole way through.
This
and
movie-
it
What do you
was-
mean by that?
I mean, like in the cinematography, it was just a normal ass Marvel movie.
Yep.
And I was just like,
It was
really.
It was a and you could feel the studio intervention in it because you can see the vision the director wants to go with. She wants to have a lot of character development. You know, she wants to have a lot of character development. So they said, "Oh, you want character development? Here's 400 characters to fucking set up by the end of this movie." So everybody gets about 20 minutes.
So what do you think they
Exactly.
disagreed on then? Like because it's to hear about studio interference coming from Marvel when Kevin Feige has like sang the praises of Chloe Zhao forever. Like what could that possibly be?
I think she is very good at making a small movie, a story where you have a few people to follow. You've got a lot of emotional. The emotions are what carry the fucking story, not the action, but the emotions of what your main characters are going through. You know what I mean? What if, like, Nomadland, great example. She's lived out of that car. She's trying to live to the point where she can get to the next Amazon, state.
Yeah.
That in this, there's nothing like that.
I'll tell you Marvel's approach to this one, and that's they wanted an ensemble cast without the huge origin story. They just wanted to be like here, and that's what they got.
Yep.
But does that idea even like work as a movie?
No, for me, you know what it
didn't work
does? It
at
makes
all.
you not give a shit about anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it was. I could fucking care less who lived or died.
Did it?
Nope.
Did it feel like a chore? It being like 2.5 hours.
Yes. Oh my lord,
That's
yes.
like to me. There's nothing. I've never walked out on a movie before, but to me, like one of the
would-
reasons
I
I didn't go
wouldn't-
because I'm afraid of like going like weirdly my worst theater experience in terms of like pure moviedom doesn't have anything to do with the presentation was Anchorman 2, and I felt like I was held prisoner. The first Anchorman I enjoyed, but I got to see it on like DVD when I was young.
Yeah.
And this movie just goes on. You know, there's it's funny in concept, the 20 minutes of him like being completely blind. But it was just like not funny.
It was
funny.
a
Mine
funny
was
SNL
Master
skit.
of Disguise.
and
Oh, you went saw that in the theater.
I like that.
Awful.
I,
What's the matter with
I
you?
was young
I was
enough
just-
to like watch that on DVD and think it was sort of funny, but also
I
know
walked
that
out.
it was terrible.
I
walked
looked at
out.
my wife during the Eternals, and I was like, I'm never coming to a theater again. Because this
Did
is
she
the
feel
type
the
of
same
movie.
way?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, as soon as it was over, I look over at Les, and Leslie just goes, it's like that.
I have to see Ghostbusters.
No. Ghostbusters, the more
I need to see
clips and
Stranger
the more
Things
shit I see of it,
Ghostbusters.
I just keep watching going, oh, so that's the direction we're going in.
But
Great.
what a layup it's got to be now that like for many people like that their follow-up to Eternal is a movie that I hear from a lot of people is either being apologetic about or is not a great movie, and their follow-up is like Ghostbusters Afterlife. Like you could not ask for like an easier follow-up than that, and it's just kind of it will probably be a hit then.
But the thing is, this is a hit.
It is a hit because it is.
Not. I don't think it's
it's
being
interesting.
talked about.
Marvel is
big
lucky
as
in
whatever.
where they and you know I'm not going to say that Marvel got there easily. They have worked for where they are, so I'll give them that.
I mean-
but the Eternals is you've got a built-in audience of comic book nerds that know all, and not to mention they call it Jack Kirby's Eternals. Like it's all like they're like story
it's-
by Jack Kirby or characters by Jack Kirby. No mention to Stan Lee. Which I was like, okay, so the people who knew
Because
that-
they're in the middle of a lawsuit. With
not
Jack
to mention
Kirby's
though, people are
family.
starting to realize that hey, Stan Lee wasn't behind all of this shit. A lot of it was Jack Kirby, right?
Like, and that happens like constantly. Like you feel that with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It's like this is like very or Thor Ragnarok. I'm like, well, this is very 80s retro.
As a casual, no one's gonna. Like, as a casual fan, no one's gonna care about that.
but did you
But
watch
I
or
think
read the comic books?
I think
Eternals
the
is based
comic
on?
book guys are going to
yeah,
care,
I read the comic.
and then the
Eternals.
Marvel purists are going to care, and I think that's why this movie has made so much money because it's a perfect mesh of those two people. But I see both. This movie does not appease either party. It goes like
fans
eh,
or
fans, comic book fans, or Marvel movie fans.
Yeah.
It goes right down the middle of being blasé for both fucking.
I
what
think
was
things.
it'll
this
scratch
supposed to
an
be
itch.
to you
It's-
guys? Like, was this anything other than?
This should have been a epic.
Because I was thinking, like, I'm skipping ahead to like the last.
Oh, hold on, let's
question.
go. What's the next question?
Okay, but in terms of what mainly didn't work, you guys are just saying like the story.
Yeah,
essentially?
it was
no story.
directionless. Absolutely directionless.
okay.
This happens, and this happens.
Point A, point
slight
B, point
little bit of
C.
story.
Yep.
But yeah,
Did you notice any advertisements like BMW probably or
Yeah.
Lexus or anything?
I didn't notice any.
I noted the cars are very obvious, pretty obvious.
Is it
with the cars.
BMW or Lexus Genesis or something?
I
or-
can never remember.
Because remember
they
in
do
Age
show
of
it.
Ultron, there's that
Yeah.
like scene where they're just driving around in a
Not to mention,
sunroof.
all their cars are in beautiful fucking shape. The other thing I noticed
Yeah.
was, I believe,
Panther is the
what's his
egregious
name?
example.
Richard Madden
Yeah.
as Icarus. He looks gorgeous in his Gap or $100 fucking
But it wasn't
sweater.
like Sony Spider-Man.
No,
that
that's
does,
right.
like,
It wasn't thrown in your face, but it was
crazy-
it was there. It wasn't like Transformers Michael Bay, but it was there.
I think the advantage to that though is like that Marvel are kind of in a different reality. Whereas
It wasn't
Sony, it's like-
wasn't No Time to Die. We'll put it that way.
I don't even like. I'm already forgetting about it. We'll get to that. But
I didn't really notice. Like
My-
I know cars in that, but like
Oh, it's the watch.
my next
in
question
No Time to Die.
is, Phil, how could it be improved? Like, if you could, like,
Ooh, this is a good
Monday.
que-
It's Monday afternoon.
This is
you
a
can
good
quarterback
question
me.
though, because there's real easy ways to improve it.
now you can't because it's already out.
Well, yeah, but if
before,
you can go back in time, and
I would scrap it all together, give it to someone who can write.
you don't think she can write?
I don't think by this I wouldn't give her any more product.
Okay, but
I would
like,
give her
how
any
could
more
it be
Marvel
improved?
products.
So, who would you give it to then? Like a writer who could write? Like, if you could say, you don't even have to know everybody by name.
It's
although
ensemble.
I would. But
ensemble.
Ensemble.
okay, so
Do you know who I'm talking about? Ensemble. Marvel.
no, I don't know. Like the people who wrote Thor.
Guardians
like
of the
what?
Galaxy.
Oh, James
Okay.
Gunn.
Yeah. So
Which
James Gunn.
yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and I guess Nicole Perlman, if you're counting number one, which was co-written by him and Nicole Perlman, and then number two, it's just James Gunn. You kind of feel it a bit, like that. It's like, oh, this is one guy, and it's like kind of be careful.
I feel the first one was, hey James, you've got to. Here's the track you've got to keep, because then he goes right to Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
and he's proven that he is able to tell these stories. You go look at
Mm-hmm.
Slither, you go look at fucking Super, and look at his older stuff. He's very capable of telling a story. But
They
we're getting off
mentioned
track.
Warner Brothers mentioned how happy they were, like compared to the awful process of the first Suicide Squad, where the guy was given 6 weeks to write, and he's like a very like kind of puts his heart and soul into everything, even though some of his movies are crap, David Ayer. But like James Gunn was like, yeah, I gave him like the first draft right away. They were really happy. I gave them the second draft. They were happy. I'm working on the third draft now, and it's like, wow, this guy, because he did this stuff with Troma, he knows how to write.
Oh yeah.
But Phil, if you were to say like the writers of this or something, like, so you said James Gunn.
I said, yeah, he's been proven in an ensemble things like this. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah.
My problem with that is we'd have too
Yeah.
much James Gunniverse. I'd like a guy like a guy like Michael Arndt. I'd love to be able to see
I
like
love
Lawrence
that guy.
Kasdan
Joss
and his
Whedon.
kid together. Joss Whedon.
It's funny because
he's
The
a
worst
great
part about Joss
writer.
Whedon is
I'm
he knows how to
sorry.
draw. He knows how to write a
He would have
group.
been able- he
He's
actually-
just an asshole of a human being.
people
That's the
would have
problem,
really
yeah.
hated me saying this, but I actually think this would have been good material for Joss Whedon to do. And like looking back on it, like I know he's like cancelable and everybody hates him now, but like what he did with Avengers is like.
Well, how much fucking
impressive.
shit has he ghostwritten? Like fucking, let's let him give him
But how many-
100,000. Let
but
him fucking
how many-
ghostwrite it.
How many projects as well has he walked away due to creative differences?
Yeah,
as the
true.
Other from? But like, yeah, I like how you mentioned Michael
Arndt.
Who else did you mention? You just mentioned
Michael
some-
Arndt, Jay Kasdan, and Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah,
Those
yeah,
guys are wonderful
so
at
I wonder-
ensemble stuff.
So, so I like Jake Kasdan, and I like Lawrence Kasdan, but Lawrence and Jonathan Kasdan wrote Solo, and Jonathan Kasdan I liked the first time, which was a movie he did. I did not like the writing of Solo at all, and I think do you think that's
did
more
like-
pipeline problems with Lucasfilm of why that movie was bad, particularly?
No,
kind of find
I
it in the script
enjoyed
season.
I enjoyed the writing of Solo. It was how it was put to screen was very kind of hurried and rushed. Okay, remember we got to have the shit about Darth Maul,
Yeah.
and we got to make sure that like it
So
felt
it's
like they were trying to put it all in.
Lucasfilm's problem
Yep,
basically,
yep.
and then
But for me, for this movie, what would make this better?
yeah.
There's what, 9 Eternals or 8
12
Eternals?
maybe?
There's
There was originally, I think, 12, but
You
in
need-
this, there's only about like 7 or 8.
you need to change these into 3 Eternals.
Yeah.
Because there's
you couldn't. It's
Megafeek
not
or
the
whatever her name is,
story,
the,
yeah.
the deaf girl. Her and Druig should be one person.
I get your point, but yeah, that's not the story. Like
But
if
then
you went
it-
from
but
it
12 to 3, you'd
it
be
allows
screwed.
you
I feel-
allows you to do much more character development with only 3 characters and
Mm-hmm.
Ajax. So we'll say 4 characters.
Do every one of them though have an important part? Because I've heard like that, like Angelina Jolie's character can pretty much be taken
worthless.
out of the
Yeah.
movie.
That was a problem. The Majik, the little girl, the speed girl who's deaf, take her
Oh,
out
yeah,
of the
take
story.
her out, yeah.
Useless.
She was useless.
Druig, his whole point. Druig and
Is
Fast as shit.
Druig Brian Tyree Henry?
The little white kid. Yep.
No,
He-
wait, that's Barry Cogan. Brian Tyree Henry is the black guy.
Big black dude. Oh yeah, he's
okay.
fastest.
Yeah. But
Even
yeah,
Jinx
so
sucked,
Barry
and that
Cogan
should have
could
been
done.
like surprising. Like that should have been good. Like that should have been like one of the forefronts. 11 was going to be Jinx, from what if I understand correctly,
That girl needs to go away.
from Stranger
I'm not a
Things,
fan of her at all. Like nothing against her personally, but I just don't think she's a great.
It's-
I don't get the hype. Like,
It's
why
the
is
Chris,
she so
it's
I
the
hyped?
like
Chris
her.
Pratt thing.
Why is she hyped?
She's oversaturating
No,
the fucking
she's-
market.
she's-
No, I
well,
never thought she was good on Stranger Things.
She's fine.
Though.
She's adequate.
she was alright.
Perfectly adequate.
I liked her.
Yeah, I know,
Not
but
great,
like-
but adequate.
Yeah, okay.
But no,
but
for
I'm a
this,
Stranger
they
Things
need
fan.
to.
is there a theme to this movie at all? Like,
I think the theme they're
The
trying to
setup.
go for is setup and hey, all of us were lied to, so we've got we've got to get the band back together, and we've got to fight for what's right, which is the Avengers thing. Hey, you know what? We disagree, but the whole great line by fucking Tony Stark in Captain America. If we try, we'll fail. Then we'll do that together too.
Yeah.
Like that's what this movie's trying to be. We'll do it together, gang.
Is it
And you're
recycled
but
at all from like you can tell it's like they're at points they're following the Avengers footsteps.
Oh yeah,
or
it feels very obvious. The parts where it's following the Marvel formula feel painfully obvious. The worst one in the end of the movie with Icarus. What the fuck does that even happen for?
Oh yeah, I heard because it's like the whole movie is.
I'm
and
good, I'm
granted,
bad,
I
I'm
haven't
good?
seen.
Is that what
Yeah,
you're
No,
of,
when he's
they
like,
try-
"Oh,
it's
I'm
a
the bad
bait
guy
and
now.
switch.
Oh God, I'm so sad. Well, I'll kill myself."
Yeah.
You're like, what? What the fuck was the point of that?
So-
Only to bring it back
so
later, of course. But you're like, there was no reason for that to happen.
There was no reason for a lot to happen.
So
It
it's
was
like
just-
the dreaded family getting the band back together is like that's like what basically.
Not
the
to
theme, if
mention,
anything?
they
Would you say,
get the
Phil?
band back
I
together.
don't know what your question is. I'm sorry.
For-
What's the theme, if any?
The theme, yeah, okay. So in my opinion, the theme is let's get the band back together. Even though we've been lied to, we've got to come out at the end. We gotta fight for the good side, gang.
Yeah.
Yeah. My next question is because you said a lot of it is on location. We kind of knew that before. Are there any personal touches that distinguish this from other Marvel movies? Other than on location shooting, because I know Kevin Feige thought it was so amazing that they were able to film at sunset. You know, the poor limited resources.
I think they would want
the
us to
company has.
say the different ethnicities, the different type.
The
like,
LGBTQ
the
team
Does
first-
that,
thing.
does
first
that
deaf
mean
character.
anything though for their
No.
characters? The characters, does their identities
The
even
most-
have any?
None of
implications?
it matters because none of this matters.
The most insulting one, though, I'm fine with Fastest. I mean, everybody is fine with Fastest being gay. No one fucking cares. For me, the biggest one is when I always forget it, Mistaplex or Minxie or whatever the fuck the deaf girl's name is. She's going, when we do it together as a group, then nothing can stop us. We've got to be the ones that protest about what we want. And
Makari.
Makari. You can feel the not Black Lives Matter, but you can feel the underlying protest argument of that. And I'm like,
that
fuck
this company
off.
is making like
Yeah, like
four with-
stop.
Does it feel informed from like that character's point of view at all, or does it feel like
It
Jennifer
comes-
Lawrence mentioning ex-women in Out of the Blue? Is it like out of the
It
blue?
comes
or?
out of nowhere. There is no valid reason for the argument. And for me, my favorite of all of them, and I don't know what your next question is, but I wanted to mention this, the Thanos line.
But that was actually a big thing in the comic and a big thing in lore. So it
It
makes
makes
sense.
absolutely no sense.
It makes sense.
It doesn't,
in
which
the
is
lore.
why
What
they
happens?
rush through it so fast.
So like what
it's
happens?
just
They
the
just
lore.
mention Thanos out of
It's
the
a
blue
big
because
lore
they have
thing.
to. Because
That's what he
of the-
says. He goes to her. He goes, "How come you guys didn't help us defeat Thanos? Because we can only defeat deviants." Well, that doesn't make any sense. He wiped
That
out half
doesn't
the
make
world.
sense. You're right.
But he goes,
'cause
well,
he's
even
a bit
fucking Kit
deviant.
Harington goes, but that doesn't make sense because he wiped out half the world. Yo, we could, oh my God, action scene. You can tell that's exactly why they put that action scene there.
I get
Because
what you
there
mean,
is
yes.
no way that they can logically argue that away.
Yeah,
So
because
it's like
Thanos
kind
is
of starting
somewhat
to tumble
deviant.
at this point.
Absolutely. If they had even mentioned the Eternals, like somebody, like Thanos going, fuck, thank goodness the Eternals aren't here. Bang, 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 beat up Captain America. If they had done that, that would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
But to bring the Eternals in now is fucking stupid and makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
What
but you
if-
have to
what if
keep
it
bringing in
didn't-
new stuff.
What if
You
it didn't-
do. I get that, but it may like they should have pretended either Thanos. This should have been like a fucking different multiverse, like a different universe where Thanos never happened, or don't even bring it up at all and let everybody argue in the fucking meantime. Don't even bring it up at all.
Would it? I know it's like galactic, the whole thing, but my question is actually this: would it have made a difference at all if it didn't take place on Earth and just took place somewhere else, or that would circumstances would be the same?
No, I think it'd be exactly the same, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Only in the way that it intertwines with the ending.
Or honestly, the history. But no, the history of Earth could have been
History wouldn't have
anywhere
mattered,
else.
no.
Yeah.
My favorite part too that I liked, I was watching the movie, and Camille Nanjiani's character, he's the best part of the fucking movie because he sets up this this thing where he's pretending to be his grandfather and then his father and then himself, and he's been in this legacy of movies.
Oh, that's funny.
And what's great is he's Pakistani, so he's I believe he's Hindu in the movie. And then I got into thinking about it. Well, doesn't that mean that the fucking Eternals were the ones that helped invent religion? And Fastus decides that, hey, I don't want to fucking kill it, or I don't want to help them with technology anymore because they created the atomic
right.
bomb and
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
people. But you're like,
Yeah.
but more people died during the fucking Crusades than in the goddamn atomic bomb.
It was the tally, not
This
the tally, the way, making its way to that point. Like, my assumption would be that he's been dealing with this for a while.
Okay.
and just, that was the final nail.
Okay,
This seems more and more to me like because I watched Shang-Chi and I was thinking like, if this wasn't a Marvel movie and it completely existed on their own and they had enough time to develop it, it probably would have been like a good movie in its own right. But because it's
Shang-Chi
chained to the
is
I like
wonderfully
Shang-Chi.
simple. And I think that's what you'll notice when you go to this. Shang-Chi is such a simple Marvel story. And then you watch this, and this wants to be
Quick and
so
easy.
much more.
But actually had a point in
Yeah.
origin story.
You
and
could follow your character. You cared about your characters.
Yeah.
You cared about their fucking arc. This one, nothing. You don't care about anyone.
Which brings me to my next point, which was the first question that I actually asked. I'm just doing that to differentiate it.
You starting now?
Yeah.
What have we been talking about the whole time?
Was the sex scene necessary?
No.
No.
The sex scene is, I imagine, so Chloe Zhao was probably like, okay, I got two super hot people, Gemma Chan and Richard Madden, gorgeous people. People want to see these two people have sex. So you two, have sex. Okay, well, it is PG though. So have sex like PG. I mean, and don't have sex, but just put your bodies next to each other.
Are they fully clothed too?
No. But you don't see nudity. It's like back.
Yeah, it's like James Bond.
But also
implied.
don't move.
Although
So there's sex, but just kind of be two slabs of meat hitting each other. And you're watching that scene, and I'm like, what? Why is this happening?
just because
The majority of the movie I spent going, why is this fucking happening? This makes no fucking
they
sense.
went with a slightly higher rating just for that scene, and it made no
Made no, and it hadn't. My favorite is, so he goes up to her. He's like, he says, "What the fuck is her name?" He's Icarus, and she's
I can't
can't remember her name now.
It's
Jessie or Cersei. And
Oh
he
yeah,
goes,
because that was the weird thing.
he's calling her
yeah.
Cersei. He's like, Cersei, I love you. Let me hold your hand. And he holds her hand, and then
That's
they're
a good
banging.
Scottish accent.
And then
a whole-
then they bang, and he's like, Cersei, I can't be around. I go to leave, gone. And you're like, what the fuck is happening?
He's what, Moon Knight?
No,
No,
he's
no.
he's Icarus.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of
Oscar Isaac.
what's his name from
Kid Harington.
Yeah,
That fucking guy needs to
he's
go
gonna be
away.
Moon Knight.
He's
I
likable
believe.
enough.
He looks like he is sucked on a lemon. Every time you see him, he's always like.
And
And the worst, the whole fucking
in
start
the
of the
movie a
movie.
lot?
He's what, 15 minutes maybe collectively?
is it okay to give away?
Yes.
Okay, at the end of the
Spoiler
movie,
alert.
when
Do you think that's Moon Knight? I've heard
No,
who I
Oscar
thought
Isaac
it was
is Moon
originally. That I'm really hoping it is.
from what I understand, it's Moon Knight, and the
I thought
voice,
he's Moon Knight. He becomes Moon
no.
Knight.
Yes,
So Oscar
Kid-
Isaac is
Kid-
Moon Knight, or does he transform into like?
That's
a
what
different
that's what
person?
I've
don't
heard is
know.
Oscar Isaac is playing his grandfather who was Moon Knight, and Kit Harington's going to become the new one.
I know.
Who's
the-
Ethan
there-
Hawke going to become?
There's a
Oh,
voice.
Ethan Hawke.
I know.
There's a voice at the end,
Yep.
and that's Blade.
That's what I thought
Yeah, I
too. was
heard about
Blade.
that too. Yeah, Mahershala Ali.
And I'm so down to see Blade. You know what I'm not down to see? A fucking PG-13
I'm down
Blade.
to see what's his name, Blade, go up against
Mahershala Ali.
Kit.
Yeah.
Oh,
PG-13 Blade. Imagine how terrible that's going to be.
Is it guaranteed now?
Yeah.
I mean, there are very
They've
few.
they've said they want more
That
people, so
should have
they
been
talked
an
about PG.
R
But there's
rating.
very, like, watching the Suicide Squad R-rated, I was thinking about it. I'm like, this could have been a PG-13 movie.
But
like, they
maybe
could have made
maybe
something
Feige will
like-
change his
been,
mind. But I know when they were talking about it at the Comic-Con, he said PG-13
I think
for Blade.
100% there's no way. Like, it's like the Venom question of, like, there's an R-rated movie waiting to happen, but their best case scenario is, like, the Suicide Squad. and look what
Deadpool's
happened.
given away, like, you can do it.
But that's a comedy, though.
Doesn't matter.
R-rated comedies kind of are their own thing.
I
So
think
that's
if
my-
they did an R-rated Blade, it would go through the fucking roof.
But
know?
yeah,
it's just the worryable thing is the international scene.
Yeah.
Like
And
how you
but
can
also
market
you
that, how
can't-
you can get them to say, okay, let's put it on.
You
Well, this
also
movie
can't
isn't
take
even opening in China.
you
so
can't
it
take a
doesn't matter.
PG-13 movie
Russia or something
and
went
take an
and made it
R-rated character,
R-rated.
put him in that. How's that R-rated guy? You can't fucking like tie his hands behind his back and say, "Okay, don't say fuck,"
You'd have
but
to
you can do everything
you'd
else.
have to reshoot.
Yeah.
That probably wasn't loud enough. Louder. There we
Why
go.
are we
Good.
doing that?
I'm just doing that for me. I don't
So
know.
we all-
I might edit. This one is like the big one for
Oh,
us.
the
like,
big
in
one,
terms
Phil.
Of reviews. I might.
Don't
edit
fuck
it.
up the answer.
Yeah. No, not this question, but just this
Oh,
review
fuck.
that we're doing.
I was all set for
yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay, could someone else have directed this movie better?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who?
Like anyone?
I'm gonna make
know
it
what?
art. Okay, I'm gonna
I'm
make it
just-
art because these movies are done like a conveyor belt. Like anyone, it's all pre-visualized through
And
storyboard.
That is the problem. Is they took a very good director who's good at a certain type of story
Plot.
and dropped her into a story that she has no fucking
No.
no choice to or no place doing. She's a wonderfully good director, but not of this
Okay.
type of story.
No place doing, I agree, but she was on paper the right person because she wanted to do this. She was into the Eternals. She
Yep.
pitched it. She was actually going to do a different Marvel movie, but then was like, "No, I want Eternals."
I think it was Captain Marvel 2 or the Marvels, perhaps.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
You know
Captain
who
Marvel.
else they asked though to do this, or I'm not sure if it was Marvel or if it was the Mulan thing. But who turned it down was Lulu Wang,
Yeah.
who made the
The
Farewell.
Yeah, and that would have been much better because there's way more action and enjoyable character development in fucking Mulan than there was in this.
I hated the Mulan remake.
Mulan.
though.
Mulan.
And Nikki
If you
Carroll
watch
was the one
that,
who did that.
compare this to Mulan, is even just basic fucking character development.
Well, I
It's
agree.
not
But
there in this
but
one.
they're working from like such an established template there. That is,
You could argue they're doing the same with Eternals because there's a lot of people that are, and not to mention the fucking scroll in the starting tells you all you need to know.
I
about
wouldn't
them.
say Eternals was established, but I'd say Marvel movies in
Yeah, no,
general.
it's
You could
then-
put anything out there. and-
Before they restarted it, I heard, according to Reddit, was that they had less than 100 issues of Eternals and that they were kind of unpopular. And they
No way.
And my thing was, and this is, I'm gonna skip to my existential question, or no, that's not my existential question, but is like
Why is the Eternals?
it was just like they wanted to do Inhumans and then they screwed up Inhumans. So they're like, fuck, we already used the Inhumans. Who else do we have that we can
Sony
use to
screwed
fit
it up,
into
right?
this
Or was
point?
that Fox?
I thought it was
No.
Fox.
Fox,
That screwed
okay.
up Inhumans, right?
No, it was actually done somehow. They failed to get the story together off the ground, and then they made it as a Marvel ABC TV series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ran for
Oh,
like 6
that-
episodes
okay.
on the
Oh,
same
what do you,
people
what do
that
you,
it
I think you're thinking of the Inhumans. I think you're thinking
No,
of
that's
the
what we
Inhumans.
just said.
Yeah, the Inhumans.
Oh,
and
I'm
it was
sorry.
like essentially a TV
One of
movie
them
that-
was a Fox. One of the
Yeah.
things I'm thinking of
Oh,
was
you're
a Fox
thinking-
movie that was redone like 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, are you,
With
Young, no. Young
fuck.
Mutants? No, New Mutants.
New Mutants.
Oh yeah.
That was
Oh, man.
bad.
I never
New
even
Humans.
watched
I
it.
think I watched
Holy
a bit of
moly.
it, but I don't remember.
You know, there's a bear fighting you all the time.
It's in Humans, the weird metal head guy, and
No, that's Doom Patrol.
oh,
That's on my list of fantastic failures.
My
anyway.
No, Inhumans is a big dog. There's a big
Yeah.
pit bull.
Oh,
The-
okay.
like
I didn't watch
Babastis.
Or a
that.
big bulldog or something.
My choice for directing was Ang Lee.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. I think Ang Lee, what he could bring to it is a wonderful character development. That's one thing that I know I say it a lot, but it's one thing that, and it's one thing I always tell to anybody who wants to know anything about movies. And even if you think you're a neophyte when it comes to film, if you have,
I don't know what that means. What do you
neophyte means like you know nothing about it.
Okay.
You're just beginning in it. If you have a character, even it could be a single character that you care about, that is 80% of where you've got to go. Just have someone you care about. Why does Luke Skywalker succeed? Why has Star Wars become? It was because we wanted to see him win.
And we
Marty
had one,
McFly. But
but it didn't work.
but the
was
point
that?
is like,
The woman that was with Kit, what's her name?
oh,
See, that's how much.
yeah,
Oh, he's a
Cersei.
civilian.
Cersei, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Cersei is not in Inhuman. Like, isn't
No,
there,
she is in the
she's
Eternals.
in-
She's
isn't
Kit
there,
Harington's
isn't there
girlfriend.
somebody
She's an
who's
Eternal.
Isn't there somebody in this movie that's like a civilian though
Kit.
who has a major part? Oh, Kit Harington is the civilian.
I wouldn't call it a major fucking
He's at the moment a civilian.
Yeah.
He
And-
becomes.
But no, you
yeah.
if you don't have a character that you care about, no one gives a shit about your story. One of the best recent example memories is you take the Lord of the Rings, and everybody wants to see Frodo and Sam succeed. Everybody wants to see
Yeah.
Frodo destroy the ring. That's what makes you watch that movie.
Yeah.
And then you take the Hobbit, and you're like, oh, Bilbo's great. I want to see what Bilbo goes through. Oh, is Bilbo ever going to show up again in this
Yeah.
fucking movie? It becomes this meandering nonsense,
Yeah.
right? And with Dexter just finishing The Hobbit is such a simple story where you care about this character. This movie and a lot of movies that fail, one of the best examples being the Justice League, is you don't give a shit about anyone, so you don't care what happens to them.
I find even in Avengers Endgame, I was thinking about it, and it's like, even if you never saw any other of the Marvel movies, you respond to, like, Paul Rudd looking for his, like, daughter in, like, the chaos
Yep.
after final, and he doesn't know what's going on. 'cause
Those
he's
Russo
winning.
brothers, I was very impressed by their writing, man.
Have you seen their Apple movie, though?
No.
Jerry.
No.
My next question, though, which leads right into it, is was there any way to lower the stakes? Like, you have another Marvel movie where the world is at stake. Is that possible when it's a movie literally about confronting gods? That it's like, was there a way to make this like a smaller story somehow?
Remember when Fastus says that I'm going to create these things that help, these bracelets that help us create the Unimind, but all of our powers are going to be taken away. Stupid, yes, but all of our powers are going to be taken away. That was one of the things where I piped up. I was like, oh my God, it'll become where the Eternals need to use their brains because they don't have any fucking powers. This should be interesting. You know what? Fuck that Unihive, hive mind thing. Oh,
Yeah, pretty much.
'Cause I thought that's what was going to
Yeah,
happen.
I thought they
The
were going
way
to
that
have
you
no
can raise
powers
this-
and they had to like work
use
with
their
that.
fucking brains,
Yeah.
right?
But no.
That would have improved this story.
Not even
but
that,
no, fuck it.
So
there-
it was just like overlooked.
So there was
Yeah,
kind of
like
like no, like, what do you think, Phil?
The whole point with that Unimind thing was just to give Cersei all the power so that
What's
she could become
Unimind?
the ultimate.
That's where they could take all of their powers and create these bracelets where with all of them wearing these bracelets together, they would lose all their powers, but all of them would be focused. All of their power would be focused on Cersei, so she could destroy the Celestial that was being born out of the earth.
So that one of them could have their power 100 times, 1,000 times stronger.
My favorite was once the movie's finished, my wife
Exponential.
turns to me and goes, "So the Earth is an egg?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess basically. Why wouldn't we have known about this before? Why wouldn't anybody have brought this up before?"
It's Marvel.
Egg.
So my last question is just
It's like being on Inside the Actors Studio, but we're just schlubs who watch movies.
I like this format though. I hope it takes off.
Moving forward, this is all we'll do. I'll have all the questions for. What's
I like doing all the work.
What's
at
the other
home.
movie?
It's fine.
No
that we
Time to
talked
Die.
about? No, the other movie we watched for this. No Time to Die. I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Harder They Fall. I'll do all the questions for No Time to Die, so you two have to answer.
Because
do you think of that?
There are 25 James Bond movies. There's now 26 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. This is the 26th now, eclipsing Bond. Where does this rank out of 26?
Really low.
Yeah.
Really low.
Like, it's forgettable.
Is it the last one? Is it bottom?
I don't
Is it
think it's
number
the
20?
last one.
No.
What's worse than this?
Ant-Man and Wasp?
I don't like it. Either.
Ant-Man and Wasp is terrible.
It's a waste of time to me.
hole. Now I'd
But
watch.
it's good for casuals. I
I'd
guess.
watch Ant-Man and Wasp before I watch this again because Paul Rudd is another actor, great charisma. They take the one actor that has such charisma in this movie when you watch him as Rob Stark. Every time Richard Madden talked, I wanted to go to sleep.
I think he's a good actor.
He's a
Probably
wonderful
not
actor.
good in this.
Not great, like he's got when you watch him as Rob Stark and when he's trying to rally his troops, you believe in him. You're like, yeah, dude, I'd follow this guy. And this, he's like, Cersei, we're never going to go up against Ajak. She's dead, Cersei. It's a sad. And you're like, I want to go to bed. Everybody talks so muted.
The movie is sleepy. I didn't like the thing that my uncle watched it. He said, I'm not interested in this at all. And I kind of felt the same way. Was that like it looks dreary to me? And I just didn't want to see.
I wouldn't call it uneventful.
I can't tell you if it looks dark because it looked dark because of the fucking screen.
But for you, Phil, is this worse than Ant-Man and the Wasp?
Where would you put this?
Is this
No, this is worse than Ant-Man and Wasp. Yeah,
So
I
you're saying
I like that more.
But what movie is on the bottom?
So what
in the
movie is
Marvel?
worse? Thor: The Dark World?
Thor: The Dark World, or what was it? Iron Man
Doctor
2?
Strange.
Oh, Iron Man 2 was
Iron Man
bad.
2. Pretty much I wouldn't say every second Marvel movie, with the exception of the Captain America series.
Because they just throw out the quickest script they can do, and so that they can capitalize.
Yeah.
Make sure Elon Musk gets a
every second
cameo.
Marvel movie sucks, basically.
I do
Kind
not
of.
buy into the Winter Soldier hype. It's fine.
That's like one of my number ones.
It's
I
fine,
liked
but
it a
it's not
lot.
the best.
I
It's not the
watched
best
it.
of the Marvels.
I had my mom watch it because I got it for Christmas. It's one of the few Marvel movies I own, and it was like I felt bad showing her it because it's not a movie you can follow if you haven't seen it.
No, especially if you don't know anything about it. Yeah, you're
So
completely
like
lost.
Guardians of the Galaxy is my other like I'd put that as number one if only the finale wasn't like rally the team together the exact same way they've done in other movies. Like Black Panther later on does kind of the same thing, so there's a part of that that's recycled, but it's like Winter Soldier and Guardians, Edge to Guardians, just because there's so much more humor and heart to it, is probably my number one. Endgame is in my top like 5. I just love just that it provides an ending to everything, but like that's my number one. And I've
But what's your at the bottom?
yeah,
Oh, at
Phil.
the bottom? I don't know. I'd have to look at
But
the
so
list.
this is not at the bottom, but it's close to the bottom.
I don't know. It could be
It's
the bottom.
close to the bottom, but nothing is.
It could be the
But you know what?
bottom.
I'm sorry. I take that back.
I want to this sucks. I want to rewatch it at home and see the clarity.
Nope. And you know what?
I hate it when
that's
people are
the way
like,
for
"I
me to
hated
say.
this."
That's the way for me to say this. I think this might be the bottom because I'd rewatch Thor: The Dark World. I'd rewatch
catch
Ant-Man
it
and
on
Wasp.
TV.
I have no interest in watching this again.
A couple cool things.
Yeah.
The cast and crew were evacuated from the Canary Islands, set in November 2019, due to the discovery of some bomb remnants from a military shooting range near the set.
Oh, okay.
That was cool. Makari portrayed the deaf actress Lauren
Which
Ridloff.
was really deaf.
There you go.
Yeah.
She's the first MCU deaf superhero.
Does that like the first
No, but it has
MCU
nothing to
Doesn't
do
matter.
with anything.
But like the first, like, is anybody keeping track of like the minorities and the disabilities that everyone has ever like? To me, they do this all the time. Of like, oh, this is the first gay character in a Jurassic Park movie. And it's like,
Who can
what?
care?
Like nobody's keeping track. People
It's-
here's what people are keeping track of: the first woman to do something, and the first minority to be a main star in a main franchise. Nobody cares enough about
I
like
disagree.
MCU. People.
You think people care about
Yeah,
like
oh, here's
LGBTQ
what I'll say.
characters and deaf characters? in
I
movies?
think the LGBTQ character
That's the
relationships is
point.
probably the only like through point. But to me, it doesn't even matter. Like I don't know.
You,
Is somebody
you're a white
out?
dude.
But I don't know.
But you
like,
can be white and gay in LGBTQ. Though,
My point is that to those people, it matters. And that's one of the things I was.
Those people like. you,
I don't
Deaf
know,
people.
how about
like,
as to
this
deaf
might
people-
oh yeah,
matter
the
to
deaf
them.
people representation I get, but it's like, oh, I'm so.
But if
like,
there is no representation, which has been an issue, then people complain. So you stick this person, stick this person, and then that way you have it in there, and they can't complain.
but you
No,
can.
I've had the
'cause
same
there's
argument because I got
no-
a friend of mine is gay, and he right, yeah, it's not,
I'm
but he's brought up that like when you force it in,
I was
no
gonna be
pun
like, how do
intended,
you know?
but when you
Whoa.
force in a character that they're gay, like Dumbledore, the Dumbledore thing, it's
There's no
worthless.
evidence
It's
to support.
more of an insult to say, oh, by
Like
the way,
Star
this
Trek
character's gay. Yeah,
with Sulu.
like what the fuck's
It's
the
like,
point? If they don't benefit to the story as a gay or straight person, What is the point? What
Okay.
What do you think I'm going to get from them being
That's
gay?
my issue. It's not like an issue because they're like fucking Marvel movies. Nobody cares. But like, I'm thinking about like, what's the point of having these minority characters if they're? And I'm not saying like, what's the point of making their identity a part of the character if it's not going to like interact in the in narrative?
They
in any
don't
way?
want to seem like they're hitting people on the head with it,
But
even though they
Disney
are.
is the king of hitting people on the head.
in
with it.
your
Even
defense,
though they are,
In Phil's
they don't
defense,
want to.
if you're a little deaf kid and you see a person who's deaf using sign language in a movie, you're like, oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There's me in a movie. And, oh, you know what would be really cool if she can use her deafness or something like that, if she can use that as some sort of part of the story. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen in this movie.
Well,
So
they
here's
kinda
my
try,
question:
but-
Is Disney like not hypocritical though all the time for having like the first gay character
Oh, yes.
every fucking movie?
Of course.
And my thing is like, what is the point of them continuously teasing audiences with like gay characters? It's queer baiting. Is
but
what
no,
it is.
But they're a
it's-
money machine,
I
right?
think it's more so that they're trying to find their footing when it comes to inclusivity.
Okay, this movie was gonna be. I'm being hypocritical because I haven't seen the movie. But if you're gonna make a terrible movie, that by all means, maybe the source material just wasn't a good fit. But like, if you're gonna do like the first sex scene, why not double down and have like the first gay sex scene or something? Because you know it's not gonna be released in China anyways, because the director had said things about the Communist Party of China before. So it's like, I don't know, if you're really gonna do it and make a thing about identity in a movie that doesn't have anything to say
But-
about its characters, why not go all the way with it
I
rather
say
than teasing
think
audiences?
of
Stop the queer
the
baiting.
Star
And you
Wars.
get 500.
But
I mean,
think of
400.
the Star
400.
Wars sequels, right?
What?
The Star Wars sequels have these two characters, Finn and Foe, Foe and Finn and Poe, who have a great chemistry right
Yeah.
out of the gate. And if you're like, dude, if those two characters turn out to be gay, that is good.
Yeah, because that's a
these
natural
guys
extension
have
of the
naturally
character.
progressed themselves,
Yeah,
and they're
I
like,
agree.
oh my god, that's great.
And they kind of
No part of this movie has anyone like that. Anyone like that.
'Cause it's
fastest you discover is gay. Oh, he's got a husband. Oh,
But
okay.
okay. Put out the 4400 as an example of going on the other side of things and being like, we're just hitting you on the head with it.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's like
you
a
gotta find
CW
where it
show.
is.
Like nobody cares.
No, it doesn't matter. It's an example.
But I
No.
mean, like, we're talking about cultural relevance of like the MCU is an important thing. It's like single-handedly holding up the movie industry, essentially with the box office. It is an important thing to have, but because it's so broad, they want to appeal to every base. They risk alienating it, which is like the wrong way to think about
Which
it.
is
so
every-
like, why can't they like what? I don't know. It's like they
this
of all
this
people like
movie
to make a
this
big
movie
deal about it.
reeks of the shotgun approach, from the story to the inclusivity.
Yeah.
All of it is shotgun approach.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I will say that I
Not
am
to the
interested
extent
in,
of 4400, but
yeah,
yes.
but one thing I am interested in, and I didn't know this until I was listening to a podcast this morning. Star Fox, who shows up, Harry Styles shows up at the end of this movie. Yes,
Starbuck?
no,
Star Fox?
Star
Star
Fox.
Fox 64.
That's his
Yeah.
name.
That's what
right?
I'm thinking.
He's Thanos' brother. He's Harry Styles, who shows up at the
Dual
end.
barrel roll.
And apparently, Star Fox's power is he can get anyone to sleep with him. I want to see how that turns out in the next Eternals movie.
All of these, like, can you think of any time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe when there's been like legit sexual attention? Like probably Pepper Potts and Tony Stark.
If you want to
maybe
call
the
it,
first time they meet.
I wouldn't call that sexual. Then it's like, oh, these
that's
two are
just
gonna
him
get
kinda
together.
being
These two got to get
creepy
together.
and
Thor,
Like-
Thor and what's her face?
And Jane,
Yeah.
I don't
But
think
I'm more curious
that's
if he
just
can get
because Chris
anyone to
Hemsworth's
sleep with him.
super hot.
So he's going to get boys to sleep with them, girls to sleep with them. I want to see where that goes. Or are they just going to?
don't.
Because apparently all of the Eternals have all the same powers. They just kind of become really good at one of them. Right?
Really?
That's from the comic book. That's how
You
it's
know
supposed to
who
be.
else?
I didn't know that, but I heard that this morning. I was hearing a
who
bunch of shit that I
actually-
didn't know about.
I have one example that I can think of, and I think about this actually, and it makes complete sense because the actors have a long history together. Is in Captain America: The Winter
What?
Soldier.
The length of her show.
Yeah, I know. The Black Widow and Captain America, like scenes where they're like close together or they have to kiss or something, and it's like them flirting with.
I love the idea that those two just remained friends. I think it's fucking great.
But there's kind of unexplored territory with the like. I don't know. It's
That's what
kind
I
of-
liked about Mulder and Scully in X Files. They never got together until the
Until-
show went straight downhill
I'm
and they
just
got
like,
together.
well,
Yep.
It's just I don't know. Does it bother you at
I
all?
liked
it
X Files
seems like
Newcast.
Hollywood movies are more sexless.
She was in Midnight Mass, Annabeth Gish.
Yes, she was. What was her character's name?
That's, you know what, I was trying to remember.
I can never remember.
I can never remember what her fucking name was.
I gotta look it
Annabeth
up.
Gish, she was
It's the old lady.
no, Annabeth
The
Gish,
doctor.
the doctor, her old mom. She's the daughter of the old lady who's losing her mind. That's Annabeth Gish. Right?
It's
She's a
been
good
while.
actress, man.
So
Annabeth Gish.
maybe
Been a
we
while.
should move on then. What would
yeah,
you
we
guys
should-
grade Eternals?
Oh, fuck. For me,
Give it an F. Just come on.
yeah, if I
Like-
had to give it an out of 10,
Actually, I'm putting my thumb on this.
I-
one.
I
I'd
like
ha-
the action scenes.
No, the action was boring.
I thought they were interesting. Well, at least
Don't
the
be
forest
nice
one.
on this. Marvel, like if there's anyone you don't need to be nice to, it's probably
Kevin
Marvel.
Kevin Feige's not watching our podcast, Phil.
I
For
bet
me,
you
I'll
he
go
could.
first. I'm going to
This
give it
was
a.
hard.
It's a failing grade. It's a 4 out of 10.
And why
Right at
those?
the same
I
time.
want to go further though. Why those 4 points? What are those like 4 points? Where'd they come from? You say action scenes. There's some of
Yeah.
it that you say you did like, which I'll have to go back because I don't remember.
The
already.
the parts of it that I did like are when they had a scene where the Eternals might have to figure something out without their powers, and then that disappears.
Wow.
And they have this part where Druig might turn against anybody. Then he's like,
think-
you know what? Fuck this. I'll leave.
I think that's the whole movie. It's like this could
What could have
lead to
been?
something. Yeah, what could have been?
That's what I mean. The
exactly.
shotgun approach, man.
Eternal is the movie that I could
have
have
been.
watched.
The movie that could have been.
Yeah. So you guys don't think I missed anything by
No.
not watching it? I'll watch it. You know,
Watch it when it comes to DVD.
It took
DVD.
It's kind of funny. Captain Marvel.
Why would you watch it on DVD instead of streaming?
Has this ever been
Fucking DVD.
Have you guys
thing.
What's the last DVD that you bought?
Oh,
Tenet for me?
I don't.
Tenet, really, eh?
Well, my dad got it.
The
I
last
didn't get it.
DVD that I bought, it's actually a
last one-
Blu-ray because I haven't bought a fucking DVD
Oh,
in how
we
many
count
years?
Blu-rays. Okay.
We got to
Yeah,
count
yeah.
Blu-rays.
But-
Was season 2 and 3 of the original Star Trek.
Planet Earth, maybe.
Oh, that's good.
I can't remember the last one that I actually bought. Oh, it was.
But DVD, I can't
I
remember
bought
at all.
it was 2 for 10 or 2 for 20, and I think it was 2 for 10, and I got Blade Runner: The Final Cut, which is funny because I hate the movie, but I had an assignment, and it was my final exam on I could choose on Blade Runner. I'm like, I've seen this movie
What?
once before,
Go on.
and the other one was
got one?
Doctor
I know what it
Strangelove.
is.
Doctor Strangelove.
Strangelove.
I don't like it either.
Oh my
It's
God.
boring.
I know what it is. It was the release of Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, all 4,
Okay.
I think, on Blu-ray, 4K, and yeah.
Fallen Kingdom
So
didn't
Jurassic-
come with it.
I love the Jurassic stuff.
World or Jurassic Park, Jurassic. What the fuck was the second one called?
Lost
World,
Yeah.
Jurassic Park 3, and Jurassic Park.
And Jurassic
And
Park.
Jurassic
What was
World.
Jurassic
World,
Park
sorry.
3?
Um,
I love them, and even if some like there's bad parts to them, but having them on 4K, and then I got the digital code.
Man, they look so the
Still have them.
digital codes.
the
are awful
oh my
quality.
god CGI of the original one. Even there's some parts where it looks bad, especially
Yeah.
the Brontosaurus in the start.
Yeah.
But dude, that fucking shot with the T-Rex when it's coming up out of the
Yeah,
encampment,
yeah, it's-
amazing.
yeah.
Still looks fucking spectacular.
Practical
and
stuff that they did still looks great. So
You master of blending, Steven Spielberg. The question I wanted to ask, because I know we're 54 minutes.
I
Fuck.
don't
But
care at
what-
this point.
But have you guys
Under
ever
an
been-
hour, Phil.
3 hours.
A totally unnecessary question. Were you guys ever like? Have you ever been less excited for a movie than this? Because I was thinking about
Afterwards?
I was thinking about Captain Marvel. How I was on a movie going hot streak, and then I saw Pacific Rim Uprising, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not. and then I'm
Oh,
like,
I knew
okay.
that was gonna be bad.
And then I'm like, I don't want to waste my money going to the movies anymore if they're going to be this bad. That was at the beginning of Rotten Tomatoes, like being super generous with their reviews because of representation.
A lot of Netflix movies
but
that we've reviewed.
Captain Marvel, but
No,
in,
being
terms,
less
in the Marvel
interested?
Cinematic Universe.
But there's being less interested,
Oh.
and I'll never see it.
yeah, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe though,
For the Marvel Cinematic Universe, no. This is the one that I've had the least interest in.
even before, like you were like less interested in than any previous Marvel release.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I even from day one when
Yeah,
you were
you
all
were
about it,
so
I was like, I
not-
don't give a
yeah.
fuck. But for a movie that, and you and I have talked about it, you brought it up, I think, every single goddamn podcast we've done together. I had so little interest in Justice League. and you're like, no, watch the fucking
Still
Snyder
haven't
cut.
watched it.
I will never watch it. I have
When
less
you
than
saw
zero
the
interest in it.
theatrical Justice League, you
And
were
it
in
was
there.
so stupid
It's different.
and so
It's
shitty.
really
I enjoyed
different.
it. It
I'm like,
doesn't.
nope.
It's not too
Did
long.
you watch the Snyder
Nope.
Cut?
I saw
Snyder
both.
Cut? I can't speak.
And you know what? I like the theatrical cut
was
better because it
long,
wastes
man.
less of my time.
I enjoyed it. I'm a fan.
It also has an ounce of humanity, just one.
Yeah. Hack Snyder does not know what humanity is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Follow us on
Watch and Complain.
watchandcomplain.com.
And watching complain on pretty much everything.
And filmgamer.ca
Yeah, and .com
and .net.
and .org. We know that's not
.org.
true.
.biz.
You know what? One of these days, we're actually going to have to register as a .org and
Just for
take
fun.
all the implications of that.
What the fuck is up with my hair? Tell me it doesn't look like King Jong.
It's a little bit going to the side
Because
right
I've got the
No,
little
'cause
short,
you'd be
fat
bold.
body.
You'd
like
be
he does.
no. You're taller than me, though. I mean, I'm 5'8".
Hey, turn it off, Phil.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, Phil.
Goodbye, Phil.